Hello everyone, my name is Brett. Sometimes I wear a beret. Today I bring you the Adventure Force Exact Strike, a very small blaster that just might be the cheapest of the year. Adventure Force is a Walmart exclusive brand. However, this blaster is made by Buzz Bee. There are markings on it that say Buzz Bee toys, and also these are the new Precise Pro darts, which only are made by Buzz Bee. These two green ones are actually, they look like the super darts from the Dart Zone blasters, but they're actually the long distance ones that are usually blue with yellow heads, and they're now green with blue heads for this blaster. I don't know why that is, but that's very funny. So while this exact blaster is Walmart exclusive, the Buzz Bee Sentry is the other version you may see of this. It has a larger gray priming bar and grip. They're also lighter gray, not darker gray. It claims ranges up to 90 feet, while this one claims ranges up to 100 feet. Something tells me it's the exact same, but for some reason, they're advertised differently. And it's ages 6 and up, whereas this one says ages 8 and up. Again, why the difference? I have no idea. And it includes 5 Precision Pro darts, whereas this one comes with 5 Precision Pro and the 2 long distance ones. But this is a 2-shot blaster. Why would it include 7 darts? Isn't that kind of weird? It's not just me, right? Now, when you see a blaster like this from Buzz Bee, you probably think one thing. Buzz Bee Baron. And if it is a Buzz Bee Baron, that's awesome, because the Baron is great. Aside from everyone's favorite gripe about the small handle, the Baron is a powerhouse if you rebarrel it for elites, remove the air restrictors, you can easily add a spring. The Baron is awesome, and the Baron cost $5. In fact, when they started going on sale at Walmart, where I picked mine up, I picked them up for $3.88. So it only makes sense that this blaster I picked up was $3.88 retail, which is very odd, and I feel like that's just kind of the stars aligning that told me I need to look into this blaster. So right off the bat, a very inexpensive blaster is a huge draw for something like this. But does it perform, and do you want this actually? Does it have any potential? Let's find out. What's clear about the Exact Strike right off the bat is that it is indeed a small blaster. It's $3.88, what you expect. But if we compare it to the Baron, as we're going to quite often, you can see that they are very similar in size. The Baron is a little bit taller, thicker, and longer, but in terms of length, the plastic shell is actually about the same, and the barrels are only the longer part. The handle discussion, well, let's see. The Baron does come in a little bit longer, which is not exactly good news, but the Exact Strikes is a little bit thicker. And when I do hold the Baron, it's small. The Exact Strike is smaller, and I can feel my hand coming off of it, which is not great. But what is on it is comfortable, and I do like that they refined the handle, even though this looks to be a very similar clone. This part in the back on the Baron is whatever, but this piece is nice and smooth, and the back part is very smooth. It feels very comfy to hold, again, for what I can actually hold on the handle. I have no huge complaints with that, besides the fact that it would be nice if this was a little bit longer, but what exists is okay. The slide on the Exact Strike, unfortunately, while it is about the same length as the Buzz Bee Baron, almost the same, a little bit shorter though, the thickness is what really hurts it, because my hand going on top of it, I can feel my fingers hitting the shell on this side and my palm hitting the shell on this side, so trying to slide it back, I'm actually holding on to the entire blaster and it's not really doing anything. So I have to actually be careful like this, and it almost is easier just to prime it like that. And the prime is stiffer on the Exact Strike, so it's not as easy to prime as the Barons, which is kind of unfortunate, and that might not be good for adding extra springs because there's just so much less of a prime up here to grip, and that doesn't really mean it's going to be easier for you to pull this back if it's a lot heavier. And firing is very simple, and I'm assuming It's the exact same as the Barons, so it's just going to change up and down, up and down. It'll cycle between the top and bottom every time that you pull that trigger, or every time that you prime it and release. Now the Exact Strike claims ranges of up to 100 feet, while the Sentry claims ranges of up to 90 feet. I'm still not sold on either of those. This does perform decently, but it does not do those kinds of ranges. The best darts with it I've seen so far are the Buzz Bee long distance ones, which might be about the same as Streamlines, Elite Streamlines. Those fly very far, but they are obviously not very accurate. Ranges on average flat for this blaster are about 35 to 45 feet. The best on the upper end are likely these kinds of long distance darts, while the Precise Pro and maybe heavier darts like AccuStrike, Waffle, FEJs are on the lower end. Angled, you could probably bump that up to 60s, most likely. Dart punching, sure. I don't know how they get those ranges. In terms of elite performance, I think this is just there or just under. It is not something that you shoot and you're like, oh wow. Though when you do fire it, you get a surprising pop from the blaster itself, so you gotta wonder if there is a bit more stored energy in here that we are not tapping into. Which means we should look at the internals, especially just to confirm that they are these internals. Most likely we're going to see a plunger tube that is smaller since the shell itself is a bit smaller, but we won't know until we open it up. The Exact Strike has 8 screws in total. 2 are in the priming slide on top, and then 1 is underneath this circular piece, which you can put a knife into or just any flat edge in order to pry one of these 2 tabs off so that you can ultimately remove it and access the single screw right there. And then, easy enough, these little nubs on the handle come right off with your fingers, honestly. And then when we open it up, we get some good looking internals. Here's a direct comparison between the Exact Strike internals and the Baron internals. You can see they are very, very similar, if not the exact same, minus some size differences. And as you can see very easily, the Baron's plunger tube dwarfs the Exact Strike's plunger tube. The Exact Strike is not tiny, but the Baron's is huge, and that's because it fires darts that are mega-sized. And the fronts are a little bit different in design, but they still have the same 5 slots for air release. With the Precise Pro dart, you can see that with the air restrictor still engaged, you have this much sticking out, and if you were to remove the air restrictor, which you can see inside, is right at that black-orange divide, you would get a little more barrel, but not a whole lot. So ultimately, rebarreling this might not be a bad idea. In conclusion, there's a lot that you get for the Exact Strike, but there's still a lot to be desired. It is a $3.88 blaster. Now, back in the day, especially from Buzz Bee, you're likely getting a Tech 3 for that, so the fact that they've come this far is very impressive, and I have to commend Buzz Bee on how far they've come. I mean, that's very, very impressive. So what's good about the Exact Strike? Well, you can arm a small army with these and not break the budget, that's for certain. The fact that you can fire 2 darts in succession makes it very easy to hand off for a new user, and they should know exactly how to use it. The downside with that, some people don't like the fact that dart cycling means that you don't always know which barrel is going to fire. Ha, I'm a genius. But usually, if you fire 2 off and then you reload and you only load 1, there's a 50% chance that you loaded the wrong one and suddenly you're firing blanks, which is not always great if you remove air restrictors, but it's also just not great if you are relying on a shot and you don't have it. So that's kind of a downside, and it's an inherent flaw with the Baron. So you either like that or you don't like it, but it's not too terrible when you only have 2 barrels. When you start getting more than that, it can start to be cumbersome. And while I don't think the handle is the worst thing in the history of everything, I do think that the slide on top does present some problems. Being so small makes it harder to prime, and just the fact that testing a few new springs in there was very difficult to prime back, and made me think that if there is going to be any mod potential for this at all, you might just have to pull it from the back and make some external modifications and kind of ruin what the shell is going for. That will do it for the Exact Strike. Let me know what you think about this baby Baron. I'm curious if it will become a popular sidearm integration blaster, or if it will ultimately fail to gain attention and subsequently fade from existence. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you later.